The knock came a little after midnight. Jeffrey was already asleep. The sound pulled him awake. Knock, knock, knock. He sat up slowly. His apartment was quiet. For a moment, he thought he had imagined it. Then the knock came again, louder this time. Jeffrey frowned. Who could be visiting him at this hour? He got out of bed and walked to the door. The moment he opened it, his heart nearly stopped. Sharon! She stood outside under the dim security light. Her clothes looked old. Her hair was untidy. A small handbag hung from her shoulder. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying for hours. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Jeffrey simply stared. The woman standing in front of him looked nothing like the billionaire he had divorced months ago. Sharon! His voice was barely above a whisper. What happened to you? Sharon lowered her head. Tears filled her eyes. I lost everything. Jeffrey froze. What? I lost everything. Her voice cracked. The business. The money, everything. She swallowed hard. I have nowhere else to go. The words hit Jeffrey harder than he expected. Even after everything. Even after the divorce. Even after the pain. Seeing Sharon like this still hurt him. She looked broken. Completely broken. For several seconds he said nothing. Then Sharon looked up. Please. Her voice trembled. Can I come in? Jeffrey closed his eyes briefly. This was the last thing he expected tonight. The last thing. When he opened his eyes again, he stepped aside. Come in. Relief flashed across Sharon's face. She entered slowly. Jeffrey closed the door behind her. Neither of them knew that this moment would change everything. My name is Patience. Welcome to Etanalog. Sharon sat quietly on the edge of the couch. The apartment was simple. Nothing luxurious. Nothing flashy. Just clean. Peaceful. Comfortable. Jeffrey walked into the kitchen and returned with a glass of water. She accepted it with both hands. Thank you. Jeffrey sat opposite her. What exactly happened? Sharon lowered her eyes. She had rehearsed this story many times. I made some bad investments. Jeffrey listened silently. I trusted the wrong people. She forced herself to look ashamed. Everything collapsed. Jeffrey sighed. Months ago, this woman controlled more money than some companies. Now she was sitting in his living room, looking like she had nowhere to sleep. Life was strange. Very strange. Do you have family you can stay with? Sharon shook her head immediately. No. Jeffrey looked away. A war was happening inside him. Part of him remembered every painful thing she had done. Every insult. Every argument. Every time she reminded him she was richer than him. But another part of him remembered the woman he once loved. The woman he had planned to spend the rest of his life with. Finally, he stood up. You can stay here for a few days. Sharon almost smiled. Almost. Instead, she lowered her head. Thank you. Only until you find somewhere else. Okay. But both of them were lying. Jeffrey did not know it. Sharon certainly did, because she had no intention of leaving. The next morning, Jeffrey woke up to a strange sound. He sat up, confused. Then he heard it again. The sound of sweeping. Jeffrey walked out of his room and stopped. Sharon was sweeping the living room. She wore simple house clothes. No expensive jewelry. No designer handbag. No makeup. Nothing. She looked like a completely different person. Jeffrey blinked. During their marriage, Sharon had never swept a floor. Not once. He remembered hiring cleaners because she hated housework. Yet here she was, sweeping before sunrise. She looked up and smiled nervously. Good morning. Jeffrey stared. You're sweeping? Yes. Why? Sharon shrugged. The house needs cleaning. Jeffrey didn't know what to say. He simply walked into the bathroom. A few minutes later, he came out again. The house was already cleaner. The kitchen looked organized. The dishes had been washed. The floor smelled fresh. Jeffrey stood there quietly. Something felt strange. Very strange. Later that evening, he returned from work. The smell of food greeted him. Jeffrey froze. He walked into the kitchen. Sharon was cooking. She turned immediately. Oh, you're back. Jeffrey stared at the food. You cooked. Sharon nodded. I thought you might be hungry. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The old Sharon would have ordered food. The old Sharon would never stand in a kitchen preparing dinner. But this Sharon was different. Or at least she appeared different. Meanwhile, across town, Mama Jeffrey was furious. What do you mean she's staying with you? Jeffrey held the phone away from his ear. Mama! No! Mama Jeffrey cut him off. Don't mama me! That girl is trouble. Jeffrey sighed. She's going through a difficult time. Mama Jeffrey laughed bitterly. Difficult time? Jeffrey, she insulted you for years. Now that she has no money, she suddenly knows how to behave. Jeffrey remained silent. Send her away. Mama! Send her away. She ended the call. Jeffrey stared at the phone. His headache immediately returned. As if that wasn't enough, another problem appeared. Rita. The following afternoon, Rita visited Jeffrey's apartment. She carried a small container of food. A smile rested on her face. Until the door opened. And Sharon appeared. The smile disappeared immediately. The two women stared at each other. Silence. Cold silence. Then Sharon smiled politely. Hello. Rita forced a smile. Hello. Inside her chest something twisted painfully. She had spent months getting closer to Jeffrey. Months. And now Sharon was back. The woman Jeffrey never truly stopped loving. Rita hated the feeling. She hated it, not because she disliked Sharon, but because for the first time she realized she might lose before the competition had even started. Jeffrey appeared behind Sharon. Rita! Rita looked at him, then at Sharon, then back at him, and suddenly one thought entered her mind. A thought she could not ignore. Jeffrey still loved his ex-wife, and that realization frightened her more than she wanted to admit. The first week was harder than Sharon expected. Much harder. Every morning she woke up before Jeffrey. She swept the house. She cleaned the kitchen. She washed plates. She washed clothes. She cooked. She arranged everything neatly. At first Jeffrey thought she was simply trying to stay busy. But as the days passed, he noticed something. She never complained. Not once. The old Sharon complained about everything. This Sharon simply worked quietly. One Saturday morning, Jeffrey walked into the kitchen. Sharon was washing his clothes by hand. He stopped immediately. What are you doing? Sharon looked up. Washing. Jeffrey frowned. I have a washing machine. I know. Then why are you washing by hand? Sharon smiled slightly. It saves electricity. Jeffrey stared at her. For some reason, that answer made him uncomfortable. Because the woman standing before him looked nothing like the Sharon he married. And he didn't know what to think about it. A few days later, Sharon made a mistake. A very dangerous mistake. She was in her room when her private assistant called. The moment she saw the name on the screen, panic entered her chest. She quickly answered. What is it? Ma'am, the board meeting. Stop. Sharon lowered her voice immediately. I told you not to call me. But the investors. I don't care. Handle it. Ma'am, they're asking for you. Sharon closed her eyes. Handle it. Then she ended the call. Unfortunately, she turned around and froze. Jeffrey was standing at the doorway. Her heart nearly stopped. Who was that? Sharon forced a smile. A friend. Jeffrey nodded slowly, but something about her answer felt strange. Very strange. That night Sharon could barely sleep. One mistake. Just one mistake. And everything could collapse. Meanwhile, Rita was becoming frustrated. Every time she visited Jeffrey, Sharon was there. Cooking. Cleaning. Helping. Smiling. Being respectful. Rita hated how difficult it was to dislike her. Because Sharon was not behaving like a villain. She was behaving like a woman, trying very hard to change. One afternoon, Rita visited again. She found Sharon cleaning the living room. Hello! Sharon smiled. Hello, Rita! Rita crossed her arms. How long are you staying here? The question hung in the air. Sharon understood exactly what she meant. She wasn't asking about the apartment. She was asking about Jeffrey. Sharon looked down. I don't know. Rita stared at her. Then she asked quietly, Do you still love him? The room suddenly became silent. Sharon's hand stopped moving. For several seconds she couldn't speak. Then she whispered, Every day. Rita felt her heart sink. Because she believed her. And that made everything worse. Very worse. A few days later, Mama Jeffrey arrived unannounced. The moment Sharon opened the door, her stomach tightened. Mama Jeffrey walked inside without greeting her. Her face was cold. Very cold. Jeffrey wasn't home. Only the two women were there. Mama Jeffrey sat down. Sharon remained standing. After several seconds, Mama Jeffrey spoke. You think I don't know what you're doing? Sharon lowered her head. Mama Jeffrey. No. The older woman interrupted. You are pretending. Sharon remained silent. You lost your money. So now you suddenly know how to respect a man. The words hurt. Very badly. But Sharon accepted them. Because she knew she deserved worse. Mama Jeffrey stood up. My son suffered because of you. Tears filled Sharon's eyes. I know. You embarrassed him. I know. You disrespected him. I know. You acted like he was beneath you. Sharon nodded slowly. I know. Mama Jeffrey frowned. She expected excuses, arguments, pride. Instead, she found regret. Real regret. For a brief moment, she almost felt sorry for Sharon. Almost. Then she remembered Jeffrey's pain. Immediately, her face hardened again. You should leave him alone. The words stabbed Sharon's heart, but she simply whispered, I'm sorry. Mama Jeffrey looked at her for a long moment before leaving. The door closed. Sharon finally broke down. She sat on the floor and cried, not because Mama Jeffrey insulted her, but because every word was true. Every single word. That night Jeffrey found her sitting alone. Her eyes were red. Are you okay? Sharon quickly wiped her face. Yes. Jeffrey sat beside her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then he sighed. My mother came today. Sharon nodded. Jeffrey looked away. Don't mind her. Sharon laughed softly. No. What? She's right. Jeffrey turned toward her. The sadness in her eyes surprised him. I hurt you. She looked down. I know that now. Jeffrey remained silent. For the first time since the divorce, he saw something he had never seen before. Humility. Real humility. Not an act. Not pride hidden behind polite words. Real humility. And it scared him, because a part of him wanted to believe her. Weeks passed. Then months. Slowly things began changing. Jeffrey found himself smiling around Sharon again. Talking to her again. Laughing with her again. Sometimes they sat together watching television. Sometimes they ate together. Sometimes they talked late into the night. Nothing romantic. Not yet. But something was returning. Trust. Small pieces of trust. Unfortunately, Rita noticed. And so did Mama Jeffrey. One evening, Rita sat alone in her room. Tears filled her eyes. For months she had hoped. For months she believed she had a chance. But every day it became clearer. Jeffrey's heart still belonged to Sharon. And deep down, Rita knew it. At the same time, Sharon faced another problem. Her billionaire life was becoming impossible to hide. Her companies needed her. Her employees needed her. Her meetings were piling up. And every day she feared the truth would come out. One mistake. One phone call. One employee. One photograph. That was all it would take. And if Jeffrey discovered the truth now, everything she had worked for would be destroyed. But Sharon made a decision. A decision she never imagined she would make. For the first time in her life, money would come second. Jeffrey would come first. Because she had finally learned something important. The richest woman in the room could still be lonely. The richest woman in the room could still cry herself to sleep. The richest woman in the room could still lose the man she loved. And Sharon had no intention of losing Jeffrey again. Not this time. Not after everything. Not when she was finally becoming the woman she should have been from the beginning. The call came on a Wednesday afternoon. Jeffrey was at work when his phone rang. The moment he answered it, the color left his face. What? Sharon looked up immediately. Jeffrey stood from his chair so fast that it nearly fell. What hospital? A cold feeling entered Sharon's stomach. By the time Jeffrey ended the call, his hands were shaking. Jeffrey! He looked at her. It's my mother. The words hit like a hammer. Sharon's heart dropped. What happened? There was an accident. For a second, neither of them moved. Then Jeffrey grabbed his car keys. Sharon followed him without saying a word. The drive to the hospital felt endless. When they arrived, they found relatives gathered everywhere. Some were crying. Some were praying. Others looked completely hopeless. Jeffrey rushed to the doctor immediately. A few minutes later, the doctor came back with terrible news. Mama Jeffrey needed emergency surgery. Immediately. Without it, she might not survive. Jeffrey nodded quickly. Then do it. The doctor hesitated. Then he mentioned the cost. The entire room went silent. Sharon watched Jeffrey's face. She watched hope disappear from his eyes. The amount was enormous. So enormous that nobody present could raise it. Not quickly. Not even close. The surgery had to happen fast. But the money wasn't there. One by one, relatives started making calls. Nobody could help. Nobody. Jeffrey sat down heavily and buried his face in his hands. For the first time since Sharon met him, he looked completely helpless. That sight broke her heart. Without saying anything, she quietly stood up and walked away. Nobody noticed. A few minutes later, one of Mama Jeffrey's relatives saw Sharon standing alone in a quiet corner of the hospital. She appeared to be speaking urgently on the phone. The relative didn't think much about it. At least not then. Not until 20 minutes later, when everything suddenly changed. The hospital announced that the bill had been settled. Completely. The surgery could begin immediately. Everyone froze. What? Who paid? How? Nobody understood. Even Jeffrey stood there looking shocked. The doctors refused to say who made the payment. The nurses refused to say anything. The hospital staff remained silent. The surgery started, and several hours later, the doctor came out with a smile. The surgery was successful. The entire family burst into tears. Jeffrey nearly collapsed from relief. His mother was alive. She was alive. Days later, Mama Jeffrey finally regained consciousness. She was weak, very weak, but she was alive. The relative who had seen Sharon on the phone finally told her what happened. The older woman listened carefully. Then she frowned. Sharon? No, that didn't make sense. Sharon was supposedly broke. How could she pay such a massive bill? Still, the thought remained in her mind. Later that evening, when Sharon entered her hospital room carrying food, Mama Jeffrey looked at her carefully. For several seconds, she said nothing. Then she asked quietly, Sharon? Yes, Mama Jeffrey? Did you pay for my surgery? Sharon's heart skipped a beat, but her face remained calm. What? My surgery? Mama Jeffrey continued. Did you pay for it? Sharon immediately shook her head. How could I? The older woman remained silent. Sharon forced a small laugh. Mama Jeffrey, I don't even have money. The older woman stared at her, then slowly nodded. That was true. At least, it was supposed to be true. So she didn't ask again. But something still felt strange. Meanwhile, Jeffrey had become obsessed. He wanted answers. Who paid? Who saved his mother? Why was everyone hiding it? He asked doctors. Nothing. He asked nurses. Nothing. He asked hospital administrators. Nothing. Nobody would tell him. Days passed. Still nothing. Then one evening, Mama Jeffrey finally spoke. Jeffrey was sitting beside her bed. Tired. Frustrated. Exhausted. I think I know who paid. Jeffrey immediately sat up. What? Mama Jeffrey told him everything. The relative. The phone call. The timing. Her suspicion. Everything. The more Jeffrey listened, the more his heart pounded. No. Mama Jeffrey nodded slowly. I may be wrong, but I don't think I am. Jeffrey stood up immediately. His mind was racing. Suddenly, every strange thing started making sense. The mysterious phone calls, the nervous behavior, the things Sharon always tried to hide, everything. He left the hospital immediately. When he arrived home, Sharon was in the kitchen preparing dinner. The moment she saw his face, she knew. The truth was catching up to her. Jeffrey. He walked straight toward her. Did you pay for my mother's surgery? Sharon forced a smile. What? Did you pay for it? Sharon shook her head. No. Jeffrey stared at her. Look at me. She looked up. Did you pay for it? No. Silence. Then Jeffrey laughed. But there was no happiness in it. Only anger. Pure anger. You're lying. Jeffrey. You're lying. Sharon took a deep breath. Okay. She raised both hands. Calm down. Jeffrey didn't move. She forced a nervous smile. Why are you looking at me like you're about to arrest me? Nothing. No reaction. The smile slowly disappeared from her face. Jeffrey stepped closer. His voice became harder. Don't. Silence. Don't lie to me again. The words hit her harder than shouting would have, because she knew exactly why he said it. The last time she lied, she lost him. Jeffrey's eyes were filled with pain. Not anger. Pain. Tell me the truth. Sharon looked away. Jeffrey. The truth. Tears started forming in her eyes. Still she remained silent. Jeffrey shook his head. You really paid it. She said nothing. That silence was enough. Jeffrey closed his eyes. For a moment, the room became completely quiet. Then Sharon broke. The tears came first. Then the words. I was scared. Jeffrey looked at her. I was scared of losing you forever. More tears followed. I know what I did. I know why you divorced me. I know I hurt you. Her voice cracked. I know. Jeffrey remained silent. I wasn't trying to deceive you because I wanted to hurt you. She wiped her face. I wanted another chance. I wanted you to see that I could be different. I wanted you to see that I could be better. Her shoulders shook, and I didn't know any other way. The room became quiet again. Then she finally said the words she had been carrying for months. I still love you. Jeffrey looked away immediately, because those words still affected him. Even now, especially now, I never stopped loving you. Days passed. Neither of them knew what would happen next. Jeffrey needed time. Real time. For the first time, Sharon didn't chase him. She didn't beg. She didn't pressure him. She simply waited. Meanwhile, Rita finally understood. Deep down, she had known for a long time. Jeffrey still loved Sharon, and Sharon still loved Jeffrey. Rita sat alone one evening thinking about everything. Then she smiled sadly. Some people belong together, no matter how much life tries to separate them. The next time she saw Sharon, she surprised her. I hope you get him back. Sharon looked shocked. What? Rita smiled. If anyone deserves a second chance, it's someone who actually changed. Tears filled Sharon's eyes, because those words meant more than Rita would ever know. A few days later, Mama Jeffrey called Sharon into her hospital room. Sharon entered nervously. She expected another fight. Instead, she found tears in the older woman's eyes. Mama Jeffrey slowly reached for her hand. I know it was you. Sharon lowered her head. The older woman squeezed her hand gently. Thank you. Sharon's eyes immediately filled with tears. If you hadn't helped. Mama Jeffrey couldn't finish the sentence. Her voice broke. Sharon squeezed her hand back. And for the first time in a very long time, there was peace between them. Months later, Jeffrey finally made his decision. He found Sharon sitting alone one evening. When she saw him, her heart started racing. Jeffrey sat beside her. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then he smiled softly. The woman I divorced. He paused. She's gone. Tears instantly filled Sharon's eyes. Jeffrey nodded. You changed. The tears started falling. And I think you deserve another chance. Sharon covered her mouth. She couldn't speak. She couldn't breathe. She could only cry. Jeffrey pulled her into his arms. And this time he didn't let go. The rest happened slowly. Dating. Healing. Trust. Love. Then one day, Jeffrey proposed again. And this time, Sharon said yes before he could even finish speaking. Their wedding was beautiful. Mama Jeffrey proudly welcomed Sharon back into the family. Rita attended the wedding with a smile. Not because it didn't hurt, but because she understood, and because she genuinely wanted them to be happy. Later, during their honeymoon, Sharon held Jeffrey's hand and made him a promise. A promise she intended to keep for the rest of her life. Never again would pride come before love. Never again would money come before respect. And never again would she take him for granted. Jeffrey smiled, because for the first time, he believed every word. If this story moved you, drop a like and share your thoughts in the comments. Every single comment means the world. And for more stories like this, hit subscribe and stay with us.